Welcome back to Hobby Universe Outdoors. Today, I'm going to be using the box blade to do some maintenance to my driveway before winter hits. I have some erosion in the driveway. Over the past couple of years, the rain has just washed it out, and I want to get that taken care of before winter is in full swing. Right now, it's early October, so I've still got a couple months in northwestern Pennsylvania before I have to worry too much about winter, but I'd rather get ahead of it. I want to get that taken care of now. That way the base that I'm going to be tearing up, that gravel base, will have time to resettle and compact down before the snow actually starts to fly. But the issue I'm having is right up through here. This part of the driveway is on a hill, and I've got quite a bit of erosion right around the edge of that hill there, and then right down through the middle I've got some erosion, and then once we get up around the corner, I'll show you that as well. So right down through there, that leads to the woods. That's still in good shape. I don't need to worry about that. But then we start looking at right down through here. I've got quite a bit of erosion along that hill. Some of those larger rocks are exposed. Those should not be. And then I've got some more erosion right down through the center, right through here. I'm going to get that taken care of, and that's pretty much going to be it. It's mainly on that hill. So this is the rest of the driveway. So, you know, from here all the way out to the road, that driveway is still in really good shape, but it's not on a hill. So I've not had issues with it washing out. But when we come back this way, now we're looking down that hill, again, just right through the middle of the driveway, and that's only going to get worse with winter. So I definitely want to get that under control before the snow starts to fly. Good news is I do have a good gravel base here, so I'm going to be able to just loosen it up and then redistribute that stone, smooth it out, and then we should be good. Now at some point I will have to revisit this when I have some gravel delivered, and I want to improve the drainage. I got to put in some ditches or something. I'm hoping to do that next year. For this year, I just want to get ready for winter, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. The box blade I'm going to be using is the Frontier model BB5060. It's 5 foot wide, and it has 5 of these scarifiers on it. And I've used it for a few years now. It's worked out really well. I'm happy with it overall. Good solid piece of equipment. Haven't managed to break it, so that's got to be a good thing, right? Before I get started, I need to make a couple adjustments. I want to adjust the pitch of the box blade. So depending what part of the process you're in, you're going to want to change the pitch, and I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a few minutes. But I'm also going to want to lower the scarifiers. And the reason for that is right now where they're adjusted, they will not contact the ground. They're just they'll be above ground, and that's not going to do me any good. I actually want those to dig into the ground and loosen up that gravel as I pull across the top of it. So I'm going to lower those down. I'm probably going to go down to 1 hole from the top. I'm going to try that. We'll see what that looks like, because I do want them to engage the ground. I don't want them to go so deep that, you know, I tear up more ground than I want to. I'm only looking to go down maybe like a couple inches. I think that should be sufficient, maybe 3 inches. You know, I'm not looking to disturb the soil underneath the gravel. I simply want to loosen up that gravel, mix it up, stir it around a little bit, and then with the box blade, when I go across the top, it'll redistribute that gravel, it'll smooth it out, and it'll also help fill in those little valleys. What I did was I raised the box blade off the ground. I'm probably about 3 inches off the ground right now. So I'm going to remove the pin from the scarifier, and I'm going to lower it to where it's just about touching the ground. I got to believe when I start digging with this, I'm going to be down 2.5 to 3 inches. So I'm going to do that on the other 4, get those adjusted, and then we'll make a test path just to make sure we're not too deep or too shallow. But I do think this is going to be the setting. So we made a couple passes, one on each side of the driveway, and now I just kind of want to look at it and make sure I'm getting the depth that I want in the areas I've hit so far, and it certainly looks like I am. So I'm starting to bring up that gravel, which is the goal. You know, you want to get this gravel. It looked like dirt, but now that I'm digging it up, There's a lot of good stone, a lot of good gravel. So we're pulling that back to the surface, and then we're going to redistribute it. But overall, I'm pretty happy. And I did have a couple big rocks kick up. I got something there, and there's a few other big stones. So what I'll do is, after I drag this a few times, I'll go back through and I'll grab any really big rocks that don't belong, get those out of the way, throw them in a creek or something, and then get it all smoothed out nice and flat. I've made several passes with the box blade. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. I've got this really nice mix of gravel. There's some larger stone in there, there's some smaller stuff, and that's what I'm looking for, because when it gets wet and then I drive over it, it's going to pack down really nice. Before I can smooth it out and kind of grade it a little bit, because I'm looking for a crown in the center, but before I do that, I have several areas with larger rocks. I've even got a one pocket of where I pulled up a bunch of old broken cinder blocks. So I'm betting that was from when maybe they built the house, they put in the basement, and they took the busted up cinder blocks and just threw it on the ground and then put the driveway over the top. Either way, I don't want it there. So I'm going to get those chunks of cinder block out of there, any bigger rocks, and then we'll start making our final passes to put that crown on it and make it nice and smooth. So I brought all those large rocks and chunks of cinder block and whatever else I found in the driveway, and I brought it back here. So this is behind the cabin, and there is this low area. So the stream used to run through here like 15, 20 years ago, I'm told. This is where the stream used to run, and we had a really bad storm, and it shifted. For whatever reason, the stream took another path, and it's about 50 feet behind me. Well, this area at the base of this hill still gets very wet, and you'll get little puddles of water and pools, and it is really a mosquito breeding ground. So that kind of sucks. So what I'm doing is, anytime I get stuff like this, I throw it in here, and then at some point, if I get enough of this heavy rock, then I'll put something over the top of it, maybe some topsoil or something, I don't know. I'll have to look and see what's actually appropriate. In fact, if you have some ideas what I should put over the top of that, let me know, because the goal would be to have the water continue to run underneath, but I want something over the top of that, again, to keep the mosquitoes from setting up camp in my backyard. Well, I'm finished going over tearing up the gravel with these scarifiers, so I'm going to raise those all the way up so they no longer engage the ground. Then I'm going to adjust the pitch of the box blade, because what I want to do is I just want to lightly scrape over the top of the gravel that's loose, and it'll gather inside the box blade, and as I go over dips and valleys, it'll automatically redistribute that loose gravel into those, and it's going to help me get this level, which is the goal. So I've raised the scarifiers as high as they'll go. That should keep them from engaging with the ground when I continue to use this box blade to smooth everything out. This is the tube that the instructions come in. Earlier, I think I said I haven't managed to break the box blade yet. Apparently that's not true. I just noticed that this thing is kind of flopping around a little bit. I think it might have been broke for a while. Not super concerned, don't know why I would need to quickly reference the instructions while I'm using this thing. It's a pretty basic piece of equipment. But either way, I guess I did manage to break something, a little plastic tube. As you use the box blade and you're tearing up that dirt, the box blade will gather material in its box. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. And when you get to the end of wherever it is you're box blading, you're going to end up with a pile of loose dirt like this. So what I'm going to do is I'll take the box blade, I'll start on that side of it, and I'll lower it, and I'll start pulling that gravel, and it'll start filling in those little dips and valleys, making everything nice and flat. I've made several passes with that box blade redistributing the gravel, and overall I'm happy with how it looks, but we're not done yet. So it's kind of roughed in right now. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to lower one side of the box blade. I think I'll do the left side. So I'm going to make this left side of the box blade maybe like an inch lower, just until it looks right. And when I go up the driveway, the left side of the box blade will be lower than the right. And then when I come back down, again, the left side will be lower than the right, but it'll be on the other side of the driveway. So theoretically, when we're done, we should have a nice little crown in the center of the driveway. And hopefully that helps divert a lot of that water or melting snow or whatever it is along the edges of the driveway instead of down the middle or across it. Again, it's on a hill, it's not ideal. I do have to do some additional work to get that drainage corrected, but just to get me through the winter, I think this is going to do the trick. So I made the adjustment, and on the left side of the tractor, I took that adjustable control link and I loosened it, and that allowed the left side of the box blade to come down a little bit. I didn't touch the right side adjustable control link, and that gives me about a 1-inch gap on this side. Might actually be a little bit more, but I'm happy with how it looks, so I can kind of picture what that'll look like in the driveway. I think that's going to give me the little bit of crown that I'm looking for. And something else worth mentioning, I do have two adjustable control links on this tractor. So I've got one on the left and one on the right. When you buy these tractors new, at least it was the case with my 2025R, and I believe it's the same for the 1023s and the 1025s, you only get one adjustable control link, and the other one is fixed. I bought a second one. I think it was like $100, but that allows me to make a lot of different types of adjustments. So now I'm not limited to only being able to adjust one side, but also it gives me added lift height. I'm not going to go into that into too much detail, but if it's something you're interested in, you might want to look into that a little bit, because it will give you additional lift height. So I had to do it for my rototiller, but it's actually come in handy for several different occasions. Now that we got that nice crown in the center of the driveway, I'm going to adjust the box blade and get rid of that side-to-side variation. I want it to sit perfectly level. And then I'm going to raise the front of the box blade up as high as I can get it while letting the back of it sit lower. And the reason I want to do that is I no longer want the blades to grab anything and drag any gravel. I don't want to move any dirt or gravel. What I want to do is I want the blade on the back of the box blade to drag across the top of the loose gravel, because right now, I mean, it's still pretty loose. So this is what I was trying to describe a second ago. I've got the back blade completely on the ground, but if you come around to the front and you look at the front blade, it's up in the air. So that front blade's no longer going to dig up the gravel or engage the ground, and that rear blade will just push down on the dirt. Overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. It's a lot smoother. It's pretty compact. I was able to get it pushed down pretty hard. One thing I did do that I didn't talk about prior was I used the bucket on the tractor to back drag it and push it down. And while the box blade did a pretty good job, it just wasn't able to push down hard enough. There wasn't enough weight with the box blade to compress it as much as I'd hoped. So by using the bucket on the front of the tractor, I was able to get a much better result. It's smoother, you know, not perfect, but again, for what we use it for, this is about 100 times better than it was. So overall, I'm very pleased with how this turned out. Actually, it looks like we're going to get some rain here in the next hour or so. If it's not a ton of rain, if it just gets the ground nice and moist, I'll probably back drag it again, because if you have gravel like this and you want to get it smoothed out, a little bit of moisture goes a long way with helping with that compacting process. Now, of course, if it's a monsoon, it'll turn into a mud pit, and I'm not going to sign up for that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day.